welcome to the LEC post-game lobby. I am Machine. I'm joined by Vedius and Markoon, who is in his debut game in the LEC, took down the 8-time champions, G2 Esports. Yeah, I think that's quite the introduction, and Mark is joining us. We really liked that he called you Mark and Hank.
Mark and Hank.
Mark and Hank, coming from down the road to save XL. And they did. Mark, how are you doing, dude? And thank you for joining us. I mean, that's quite an announcement.
Yeah, thank you. Like, right now I'm feeling amazing. I'm just like happy that I got to play like how I normally play in scrims, and like I didn't play scared. I went all out. I just went for it, and I'm happy I just got to perform in my debut game. Were you feeling that the nerves didn't take over?
Yeah, oh god, yeah. I was going to say, were you feeling the adrenaline and the nerves of anyone's LEC debut? Did that play a part? Did you have to kind of compose yourself mid-game?
Yeah, there were nerves, but like I don't think the nerves were too much. It's just like healthy nerves. Yeah. There was definitely a lot of adrenaline in the game. Like my heart was pounding, especially around like the clutch Nash plays. Like my heart was going full crazy, but it's just very nice to play, to be honest. Very nice to play.
So in this game, obviously you were super proactive on the map. So coming into the game versus G2, was this the game plan, getting a strong winning mid jungle 2v2 and just attack the mid lane, or is this just how the game evolved?
I mean, we knew G2 likes to fight a lot, so basically our thought process before the draft was we don't want to play scared, we want to be able to match them, so we chose champions that can skirmish early, that can do well early and match the fights, and yeah, we ended up with LeBlanc Volley, which is obviously super strong 2v2, able to move into sides, so I think I'm pretty happy with how the draft turned out. Yeah,
and Ashley was speaking just earlier, of course, to Nukeduck. He was saying that the new voices in the team were loud. You're talking a lot. I mean, does that come naturally to you? Do you consider yourself quite a vocal player? It's not hard for you to pipe up and express yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just have a certain way of seeing the game, and it just comes naturally to me to talk about how I want to play, and especially in the early game, it's just how I want to play. I just tell to my teams what I want to do, and if they agree, then I go for it.
So one of the big discussions we've had was that it wasn't just you coming into this roster, it was also Advien alongside you. So can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Advien and like the dynamics that you two specifically have and what you bring to XL?
I think Advien is a really strong lane player, and I think especially with Patrick, who is like kind of similar to him, they both want to smash their lane and stomp the enemies. I think it's a really good fit with Patrick, first of all, so that's what Advien brings. And I think me and Advien have really good synergy, obviously, from playing Lost Split together in the NLC. And I think we just fit very well in how we want to play the game, and especially in early game. I think it's just very on the same page, so it feels very good to play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, integrating with 3 new players yourself. I mean, we've always framed it as you integrating into them, but it's you two also meeting those 3. And it seems to be working wonderfully. Taking down G2 as your first game, how long did you get to kind of practice and prepare yourselves for this game? Just so I can have a mental image of how quickly you've found such great results.
I think we've had 3 scrim blocks. So we started like 3 days ago.
Oh,
we scrimmed a few teams. We had like 12 games in total, so not too much.
Okay, so
just enough, I guess.
Just enough. I got 3 scrim days, and you not only take down G2, you're also awarded Kia Player of the Game with 66% of the votes. So there's a lot of love for your first debut performance. I would like to dig a little deeper about this transition from NLC to LEC. Now you've played 1 game, a couple of scrims. I realize you may need a bit more time to answer this properly, but from the NLC to LEC, you're expecting a different type of League of Legends to be played here, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I just expected from LEC and what I'm kind of seeing is just, it's not that everyone's just, I mean, everyone is better, it's just higher tempo, people don't mess up as much, your mistakes instantly get punished, there's not a lot of room for mistakes, and people are just a lot more proactive and looking to do stuff on the map usually in LEC than what I've seen from like NLC especially. Like, it's just a lot more active, and you get punished way more. And it's also, it's a lot harder to play in early game as well, because normally in NLC, it's like lower teams, they won't match you in early game, and you can just kind of get to do what you want. But in LEC, it's actually more of a turn game in early game, and you can't always go for your own play. You have to look for their play as well and take that into account. So I've had to adapt a little, but I think so far it's been going well.
So it sounds like you've already made some adaptations coming into the LEC, but when I was like reading up on you and looking back at some of your games, like I'm going to be honest, Markoon, when I looked at EU Masters, to me you didn't really like stand out a lot.
Didn't pop.
Yeah, but when I then watched you in the NLC, you seemed like a different player. So Can you give me a little insight into like what happened between EU Masters and NLC? Did anything happen? Do you feel like that you made a big change in your approach to the game, or what happened?
I mean, I think in NLC I was just very comfortable playing the game. So, you know, it's easier to be proactive in early game and just stomp your enemies when you're perfectly comfortable. And I think in like NLC, and I think especially in like second half of the group phase, the like playoffs, like I think the pressure got to me a little bit, and I think also the champions I was playing at the time was like mostly Hecarim, so it's not like I got to be like proactive early. I was like scaling, playing like trying to survive early game, and then like pressing Hecarim R in team fights. So
Right.
it's a little bit of pressure and a little bit of champions I was playing during the tournament.
Yeah, and just speaking of champions, what's your take? You know, we heard NukeDuck saying he likes the way you see the game. Share with us, how do you see the game? Do you feel like a lot of players are saying that everything can work and there's a lot of freedom in that? Do you feel the same way, or are you still scared about being locked into a Hecarim R situation?
I mean, just it's the way I prefer to play. It's like high tempo in the early game, use slow pushes, permadive on every wave you can. So I like naturally look for champs that can facilitate this playstyle. So like Volibear and this kind of stuff. Good at diving, good at skirmishing. So I mean, I think technically you can play everything, but I think generally, especially in jungle, will stuff that can skirmish very well and dive very well and just be proactive in early game. Because junglers usually tend to fall off in mid to late game, so you might as well get as much out of your champ in early as you can. That's like kind of my philosophy.
So with that in mind, obviously you had a super proactive day today, but can you give us a little insight on what it's like playing with NukeDuck? Because from our perspective, like, you're like a baby chicken, and he's like an elder hen. You know what I mean? So
oh,
like
the elder hen. That's how the analogy goes.
The experience difference seems so massive, but you guys felt like you were so fluid and you worked so cleanly together today. So can you give us a little insight on what it's like working with him?
I think working with NukeDuck so far has been a real pleasure. I mean, he's just like a fountain of information. He just knows the game. Since he's played so long, he knows the game so very well. So, like, especially in mid to late game, I'm learning a lot from him. Like, how to play the map in mid-game, what lane assignments to do in mid-game. And I think early he's adapting to me more because, like I said, I play a lot more proactive. I think with Dan, he was kind of more used to like chilling in the early game and just playing a bit more passive. But he's had to adapt a bit to play with me and just go into the enemy jungle and dive everywhere. So in the mid-game, I think I'm learning from him, and then early he's adapting to me.
Oh, that's a perfect answer, dude. Okay, and this is only 3 days of media training as well,
Yeah.
so we might have found a golden nugget here, folks. Either way, today was a day of upsets in the LEC, and at the end of it, Rogue and Misfits stand in the first place. With that, though, you've got Schalke and Astralis and Excel all just still chugging on nicely. Excel, however, a compulsory win. Vedius, what's jumping off the page in terms of what to look forward to?
Well, I think like the fact that all these crazy wins happened today, it was a very big surprise. The fact that XL already came in this strong against an admittedly a struggling G2. But either way, like this definitely sets up some promise, and Astralis taking down Vitality, Schalke taking down Fnatic.
Upset day.
It does seem like initially our expectations were that there was a clear top 6, bottom 4. Now we're starting to see things shake up a little bit. Markoon, obviously you've been focused on things like the NLC. You told us about like coming in very short notice, or you haven't played much with your current roster. But what are your general thoughts on the league? Do you think there is a clear top 6? What do you think?
I don't think there's a clear top 6. I think, especially if we keep improving and we keep improving our level, we'll definitely challenge some of like the top 6 teams that like it's kind of determined. Like especially yesterday before this day, there was like everyone was talking about the bottom 4 was already established. There was just going to be a clear top 6. But I think especially after today, it shows that it's not that easy and there's not a clear top 6 yet. I think anything can happen still.
Certainly, and how much do you think the format plays into that? When you've got, you know, week after week, round robin, best of ones, there's so much volatility, there's so much time, there's so much development, all interacting. Does it just lead to kind of an unpredictable, like you can sit here at week 4, you're not going to know what week 8 looks like. Are we getting a bit big for our boots when we think we can call it at week 4, Vedi?
Well, so you're opening a potential massive can of worms.
Yeah, oh no, dude, we have to open that can of worms. It's time. Let's crack open it. Best of ones and League of Legends results. What do we think?
So I'm personally very much on the side that best of ones during the regular season act as an effective way of seeding teams for playoffs. That is how I've always seen best of ones.
So typically, in a best of one, the better team will win the majority of the time.
Exactly.
To the point where they qualify.
And when we kind of look back at the past, I think that the Unicorns of Love, I forget which year it was, but they were the only 5th place team in playoffs that ever made it to a final. Outside of that, it's always been, if you finish top 4 in the regular season, you make the final. So for me, best of ones have always been like a pretty good indicator or a pretty good tool at highlighting the top 4 during a regular season.
Is there a Riot logo on the
Yeah.
box? Markoon, though, what about you? We're going to hear from the players' perspective. I mean, in terms of best of ones and eventually, pulling the cream to the top of the crop, does that make sense to you?
I think best of ones are just so much more volatile than, for example, best of twos and best of threes. I think best of threes are the best measurement for playoffs, I think. But there are a lot of other benefits from best of ones. So, I mean, I think best of ones are like more fun to watch and also more fun to play. But I don't think they're the best for determining the real skill of the teams. I think best of 3 is a lot better for that.
Oh, I mean, in Counter-Strike, we have this. I know you want to defend. Just I want to say, in Counter-Strike, we have the same thing, right? It's a best of one. You've got the upset potential, which obviously increases people interest as well.
Yep.
But you've also got the main team. Chances are, if they're taking it seriously, should still be winning in the best of one. A best of 3 takes so long. Like, do you want LEC to be 14, 15 weeks long? You know,
So it's the thing that I find interesting. Markoon, I think, summarized it very nicely. The thing for me is that best of 3s, as you rightly said, are the most accurate way of telling you who the best team is.
Sure.
Right? In general, as a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
I always get frustrated with arguments around there are a lot of variables in League of Legends, a lot. And sometimes, especially at the pro level, Markoon was already talking about it earlier, you make one mistake and you instantly get punished for it, right? And games have been lost over things like Scuttle Crabs, level 1s, all variety of these things. But then I remember back to G2 versus Origin, which was a final back in spring of 2019, where G2 did, I think, a level 1 strat in every single game, and each game progressively got faster and faster as the series went on. And it was one of those situations where, yes, there is an element of volatility, but the best teams, from my experience, have always found ways to control and mitigate that volatility while finding a semblance of consistency throughout the regular season. So for me, finding out who the best team is during the regular season, I've never really cared about that. I always care about in playoffs, when best of 5s exist, that actually determines who the best teams are. And so when you have 6 teams all competing in a best of 5, that for me is enough.
I like what you've done there, though, because I don't know about you, but I could actually drink Vedius's Kool-Aid. I don't know about you. It makes sense. All the best teams are seeded, and then you have best of 5s to truly have the cage match between.
And I personally wish that we could make playoffs longer.
Sure.
That's my and then but yeah, it's one of those things where Markoon is 100% right. During the regular season, that volatility is it's definitely frustrating for a lot of players too, because I feel that Schalke is a great example of a team that they talk a lot about how they do very well in scrims, and then you get 1-2 shots per week, and then you can't quite perform in those games. And so the perception of your team is that you're bad, your players are bad, you get branded bad, and there's little that you can do to reshape the narrative. And if you don't make playoffs, that Excel has never done, then the organization then just has a history of then being perceived as bad. You know
or it's just categorized as another failure as opposed to the complexities of the entire season.
Right, and so that's one of the frustrations that I fully understand. And a lot of pros also, I'm sure Markoon can testify to this, which is if you lose, you're well, I know I'm better. I want to prove that I'm better than that team that I just lost to, right? And that's always going to be a frustrating feeling. But I think it's that balancing act that is very difficult to navigate. And I'll stand by the fact that if you qualify for playoffs in 5th or 6th, you probably weren't going to make a far run in playoffs anyway. So I don't know if you changed to the best of 3 format that really would have helped you. But I'm also on the slightly more cynical side of that.
And I would be rude not to hear you if you have any closing thoughts on this subject, Mark, or do you want to leave it there?
I think if you get frustrated for losing a best of 1, you really don't have the best mindset as a competitor.
If you get mad at the format
for losing a game, I think I don't think people get frustrated at the format. I think they get frustrated at themselves, because in the end, if you lost the best of 1, you're still just the worst team that day. So I don't think if you're getting frustrated, it's at the format, it's really not the best way to think, I think.
Oh, I like you.
I like you a lot.
Yeah, what's it in Dutch? Ik hou van jou. Yeah, that's all I can say. Well, only things I can say on air. Either way, let's check out our schedule for tomorrow as we are closing out the week with a rematch of the Spring Finals. Yes, a spicy meatball indeed. Rogue versus Mad Lions is on the agenda. And you, no less, Mark, have got Vitality, a very hot prospect at the moment.
Self-made, ex-Yankos into self-made. What are your thoughts?
I think they're obviously a good team. I think they're really volatile in game as well. They take a lot of fights, so it will for sure be a fun match to play.
Nice.
Okay, looking forward
Nothing
to
but
that
confidence
one.
from Mark. I like it.
Yeah, and we've got Misfits G2 as well just before that as well. So a lot to look forward to for tomorrow. However, for now, I think that's just about it. So a big thank you to you, Markoon, for your first day, first PGL, and smashing it all the way through. A big win versus G2. And of course, Vedius, thank you for holding my hand. I felt very safe in your grasp.
I'm sure my Twitter feed is in no danger whatsoever.
Ah, yeah, I'm sorry. That's my bad. That's my bad. I had to start stirring something. I had a big wooden spoon. I had nothing to stir. That was all from us here, though, tonight. And the action is far from over as the LCS continues with Team Liquid versus the 100 Thieves. We'll see if they've recovered from the party. And we'll be back for more League of Legends tomorrow. See you then. Hello, welcome to Berlin, Germany, home of the LEC. We're closing out the opening chapter of the regular season as week 4 marks the halfway point of summer. So Misfits still in sole possession of first place with 5 teams right nipping at that rabbit's tail.
Vitality looking to take it, but Zanzara still has the smite. Zanzara will fall first. 2v3 for the moment. Kronsky on his way as well, and White Knight almost goes down. The Lantern has been pink warded there by LeBron, but it doesn't matter. Magic Felix has 5 kills on the board on this Akali. Subjugate has been used. Zanzara going back, but look at the Infernum! Burn, burn, burn from Jeskler as he shreds through Vitality. Magic Felix is here for the cleanup, and Jeskler is splashing forward. 200 flipping years from the Aphelios. Counter chain coming out. Sonya's away from the Shockwave, but it's not enough, and now Odoamne is in a great position on the flank. Showstopper coming out from Genex, but they dive straight onto Jezu. Odoamne putting needle after needle into SK. They're 3 kills already, and Larson and Hans Summer are not done at 3. They can count 1 more, it's 4 for Rogue. Vander's going to try and clear them out as well, but Kaiser is going to be able to help Kazi pick this one up. Now Misfits try and answer on the other side. Decoy used by Armor, but he is locked in place, and Misfits will equalize it 1-1. Vander has flash, has Taunt, flash, kick, Taunt straight away. There are the chains, and Humanoid nowhere to go. Meanwhile on the front line, Vander just tanking up for days. Razzle diving in, all on his lonesome there because VTO is coming for the chase as well, but Razzle goes really dead. Come in at 1v3, he's going to lose that one as well. Has gone from nothing to on a rampage in a heartbeat. VTO's going to land the chains, but he is stunned up, and Lyoya gets the kill.
This punch to take him out, and Niski is in no man's land. There's nothing left. Shroud coming up, cooldown just in time, but he can't finish the job. First blood for Neon. Now comes the Lamb's respite. 2.5 seconds counting, ticking down, going down. Niski in the midst of everybody, but he's got the exhaust layered on him. Buffalo's done. He's on the wall, and he flashes into the cards. It's not what he wants. Entire team, Core Drinker, exhaust, but no Duke with the double. Line him up, baby. Now Cap's gonna be in trouble. He's gonna steal the ultimate. He can't leap out low into safety, but he goes over the wall, and he just gets followed. Another happy beat from Markoon. He's feeling good. Who just walks into the league and just starts killing Caps in their first game?